98, one for the record books.
1998 has been the greatest baseball season of our generation. A year of records, milestones, and special moments, highlighted by the pursuit of the home run record. We were all captivated by the rivalry between Mark McGwire and Sammy Sosa, a down-to-the-wire battle that even surpassed the memories of 1961, when Roger Maris and Mickey Mantle chased the ghost of Babe Ruth. We respected the Yankees, the most storied organization in sports, having their greatest season ever. We celebrated David Wells' perfect game in May, the first in Yankee Stadium since Don Larson's untouchable in the 1956 World Series. We welcomed the arrival of Cubs' 20-year-old rookie phenom Kerry Wood, who reminds so many of a couple of other Texas flamethrowers, Nolan Ryan and Roger Clemens. We recognize the power and speed of 23-year-old Alex Rodriguez, who became just the third player to surpass the 40 home run, 40 stolen base plateau in the same season. And we honored the style and class of Cal Ripken Jr., who ended his streak gracefully after playing every game for over 16 years. Right now, we have it all for you on Baseball 98, one for the record books. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Fox Network Center for our exciting closing day extravaganza. What a finish to what has been one of the strongest baseball seasons ever. We've got the story on the wild card and, of course, details on the final chapter of the incredible Home Run Derby. In this special, we will hook you up live across the country as we take you to St. Louis to hear from Sam Marciano, details of McGwire's final day. We will also take you live to Houston to hear from Jeannie DeSalasco and Sammy's side of the Home Run Derby. And we will take you live to New York to hear from Michael Kay reporting on the Yankees' incredible season.
But really, in old-timers games, it's not.
Hello, everybody. I'm Earl Wright. That is Steve Lyons, and we thank you for tuning in to our very special season-ending television presentation, Baseball 98. A season to remember. It sounds like an impossible mission, but we have chosen to accept the challenge of trying to recap the amazing accomplishments of these 1998 Boys of Summer.
Oh, you know it. And you know what we're going to do? We're going to go live to all the post-game press conferences as they happen with regards to McGwire and Sosa and the National League wildcard scenario. Plus, Steve Sachs will be right here throughout the program. He's going to Fox scope the summer's biggest baseball stories.
At the start of this final day, Psycho, we were wondering what would be a bigger story. That was this morning, the home run chase or the wild card race. That debate ended with two more historic swings of the bat by a slugger named McGwire. In what has truly been a power move, Mark McGwire and Sammy Sosa have driven baseball back to the forefront and back into the hearts of so many Americans. Today in St. Louis, what a finish to an incredible season. Cardinal fans showing their appreciation for McGwire, and he gave it back in the bottom of the first.
1-1. Into left field. Back at the track at the wall. Historic number 69.
It came off rookie pitcher Mike Thurman. It sailed 377 feet. It took place at 10 minutes after 2 in St. Louis. It came on a 1-1 pitch, and it was home run number 69 as the Busch Stadium crowd went crazy. 69 minutes later, more history was made.
First and third, 2 out. Into left field! Number 70! How much more can you give us, Big Mac? Number 70!
His final at-bat of the season, and he rocketed number 70 on the first pitch from Carl Bavano. That one went 370 feet, and yet another sold-out crowd at Busch Stadium of over 46,000 saluted their Big Red hero.
It's pretty simple that this season probably wouldn't have happened if I didn't get the great support from these great fans of St. Louis. This is a season that I will never, ever forget, and I hope everybody in baseball never forget. So thank you very much.
How can we forget? Truly unforgettable as McGwire reaches the unprecedented and unthinkable number of 70 in 162 baseball games.
All right, Van Earl, now we know what Big Mac has done. We're going to send it out to Houston, where Jeannie Zelasco has been following Sammy Sosa all around. And what's going on out there, Jeannie?
Oh, Steve Areno, in the immortal words of Harry Carey, holy cow, this is incredible. The Cubs fighting for their postseason life. Sammy Sosa trying to stay alive in the home run derby as well. Sammy so far 2 for 5 on the day. He does have a couple of base hits, maybe more importantly an RBI to help up the tally. That would be 158 on the season. He was tied with Juan Gonzalez at 157 coming into this game. But as we told you, all tied up right now. It looked like it was going to be a great moment for Sosa. Top of the 10th, he was the leadoff batter, but he managed to just pop fly out. So pretty much like we've been watching Sammy for these past few weeks, we sit, we wait for someone to score. Right now we're going to the bottom of the 10th inning, all tied up at 3, postseason on the line for the Chicago Cubs, and we will keep you posted. Now let's send it back to the Fox Network Center.
All right, Jeannie, thank you very much. We will go back out to Jeannie later in the show. While Sunday provides Sosa with his last chance for baseball immortality, Sammy also sees the bigger picture of the Cubs' first postseason appearance since '89. Chicago and San Francisco tied for the NL wildcard spot entering Sunday's finale, leaving the New York Mets as the odd team out. Not only is New York hoping both the Giants and Cubs lose, they have some work of their own to do. Facing Greg Maddux and the Braves, let's get right to it. Bobby Valentine needs a lot of help for some kind of playoff picture. Bottom of the second, Mets down already 1-0. Greg Maddux helps himself by stroking an RBI double to center field. That scores Eddie Perez. Maddox's double made it 2-0. Same inning now. Chipper Jones. You don't see that too often. Just a little blooper. Ray Ordonez can't make the play. Keith Lockhart scores, and Ordonez throws the ball out of the stadium almost. Valentine can't believe it. He's down 5-0. Armando Reynoso did not get it done. Allowed 5 earnings in 1 2/3. Now Maddox getting some D. Carlos Baerga, look at Chipper Jones. Barehanded, forget about it. That is a tremendous play. Then Ozzie Guillen. Same play. And Andres Galarraga over there picking and grinning, and that's Ted and Jane doing the dog thing. Top of the 7th, Mets threatening now. 5-2, runners at the corners, Mike Piazza. Oh, Piazza's seen that pitch about 4 or 5 times in this series. He doesn't like it. He thinks it's outside. He disagrees. Then Brian McRae, same thing. John Rocker coming in to get it done. Bobby Valentine disappointed. Steve Phillips, the GM, has got a lot of work to do. The Mets get eliminated for this game. 7-2 the final score. The Mets close out the season with the big gag. 5 straight losses. Mets were contending for their first postseason appearance since 1988, and it's not happening.
So the wild card race quickly becomes a 2-team race. The Cubs still alive and hoping to get it done in overtime in the Lone Star State. You see Sosa's numbers for the day on this final day of the regular season, possibly because the Giants are also still in action against the Rockies in the Rocky Mountains. And right now, Dusty Baker and crew looking pretty good. Once again, more clutch production from Joe Carter in what he has said will be his final season. Giants trying to hold on.
All right, Van Earl, you know that no baseball special would be complete without bringing in the baseball analyst, Steve Sachs. And, Steve, you're going to be doing some scopes today.
Oh, yes.
What are we talking about right now?
Well, we're going to look at the Yankees a little bit, first of all. Talk about those Yankees. I mean, what a season it has been for that New York ball club. It's really been a season of role players for this team, the Scott Brocious and all these guys that are coming out of nowhere. Darryl Strawberry, what a year he has had. Besides all the stalwarts on that team, when you think of Bernie Williams and David Wells and that great pitching staff of the Yankees, this has been a team really that has, in some sense, overachieved, because it's been not one person, not 2 or 3 persons. It's been 24, 25 guys all year long for that New York Yankee team that's done it. I mean, this has just been phenomenal. A team that's won more games than any other AL team ever.
Of course, later on, besides the Yankees, you'll be looking at the 2 incredible seasons from these 2 sluggers as well. And you've scoped out McGwire and Sosa so many times, but now renewed enthusiasm for talking about these guys.
What we're going to do now is we're going to scope them mowing the lawn at home, because we have done everything else we could possibly do on Sammy and Mac, and we're going to take a look at them. We're going to really break them down for you, get into the guts of this, and show you, the differences really between Mac and Sammy. They have two different approaches to the plate. Sammy, as you can see, loves to go to right field, a la Roberto Clemente, and then Mark McGwire likes to stand right on top of that plate and yank it out of there. And just a little bit later in the Fox Scope, we're going to show you how these two went about it all year and how it's been just a marvelous, wonderful race all this whole baseball season. Been tremendous.
Of McGwire's 70 shots, none of them to right field. As you said, he likes to turn on that pitch quick.
Exactly right. He's had 2 semi-shots to right field, just to right center, but nothing down that right field line.
All right, Saxon, we look forward to it.
Stands right on top of the plate and make sure there is no such thing as an outside pitch.
Exactly right.
All right, our very own Sammy, Sam Marciano, she's been chasing Mark McGwire since he hit his 55th home run way back in August somewhere. She's in St. Louis. Sammy, what do you got?
Well, when he hit number 69, the feeling here at Busch Stadium was that he's got one more at bat. 70's going to be just around the corner. That's how easy he's made these home runs look like they come to him. But then when he hit number 70, you were like, wow, can't believe it that he actually did it. And what Mark McGwire has done this season cannot be explained away by any muscle-building supplements or expansion in baseball. It truly is amazing, and he's made it look like it's easy, but he knows that it's not.
Home runs aren't easy to do, but when you work as hard as I've worked the last few years to really work on my swing and get full extension, it's paid off. You have no control. It's not like I call him up on the phone and go, hey, Sammy, you hit one, I'm coming right back, okay? It's like, we don't have any control over that. Or it's like, hey, call Houston pitchers. What are you going to do, okay? Well, Montreal pitcher, we don't have any control over that. He's having a magical year, and it just happens that those things, what we've been doing for the last 2 months, is just happening. There's no explanation for it.
Cardinals coach Carney Lansford tried to put this all in perspective after the game. He said everyone's talking about Cal Ripken's record right now and how that'll never be broken. Well, he said that this record will never be broken. I'll have lots more later on. Now let's go to Steve Lyons.
All right, Sam, thank you very much. The Yankees' historical season comes to a close against the D-Rays, but the winningest team in the AL history still has some unfinished business before they host the Rangers on Tuesday in the playoffs. First and foremost, setting their 10-man playoff pitching roster. And, oh, yeah, there's a few other things they got to get taken care of, like this right here on Joe DiMaggio Day in New York. The Yankee Clipper was honored. They replaced all 9 World Series rings that were stolen from DiMaggio in the 60s, and then the players signed balls and tossed them into the crowd. Nice day in the Bronx. Let's go to the game now. Bottom of the 5th, 2-1 Yankees. Bernie Williams trying to win the American League batting title. Oh, that's how you do it. Singles up the middle off to Esteban Yan. He was 2 for 2 on the day. That put his average at 339. Still bottom of the 5th. 3-1 New York. Bases drunk. Shane Spencer. You kidding me? A grand slam. His 3rd grand slam in the last 9 days for the kid. A Yankee record for a rookie. I hope so. The guy's unbelievable. That makes it 7-1 Yankees. And there you see it. Bernie Williams is the batting champion. Mo Vaughn went 2 for 4 on the day. And now Darren Holmes gets Kerry Robinson to ground out to short. They win the game. The Yankees break their own American League record. They won 114 times this year. The Yankees are the first team since the '54 Indians to play the entire season with a winning percentage over 700. Shane Spencer, 8 home runs in September, 13 for 26 with 7 homers and 20 RBIs in the little streak that he had. Now, it's been a special season for the Yankees, and it was a foregone conclusion that they'd run away with the East. But along the way, they become the AL's winningest team of all time. Only the National League's 1906 Cubs were better with 116 wins. Now, the Yankees wrap up their historical season, but it's only the beginning for them. They open the playoffs Tuesday in the Bronx against the Rangers. Now, let's head out to New York and Michael Kay, who's been following the Yankees for this incredible season, but for about the last 30 seasons. Michael?
It's been unbelievable, Steve. This team has done things that really no one has ever done in the history of the American League. 114 wins. The only thing they came short on was the 1906 Cubs, and that was 116. And the only reason they didn't get that, they had a flat period of about 28 games when they were 12-16, but they've certainly finished strong. 7 straight wins. A couple of things they wanted to accomplish today. Bernie Williams wins the batting title. He has a big day, 2 for 2, a sac fly. He beats out Mo Vaughn by about 2 points. Shane Spencer becomes the 10th 10th Yankee in double figures with home runs. He hits his 3rd Grand Slam in 9 days. They wanted to get Scott Brocious out of the game with a 300 batting average. He certainly did that, although he was stuck at 98 RBIs. Didn't get the even 100. Bernie Williams also didn't get to 100. He ended at 97. Yesterday, they got David Cone, his 20th win. So it's been an unbelievable season for the Yankees. They head into the postseason now, and Joe Torre is the man at the helm. He's done something that Miller Huggins wasn't able to do. Joe McCarthy, Casey Stengel, more wins than any Yankee manager. And you can tell that Joe's still a little bit stunned by it all.
Michael, we've talked about it before. It's tough to imagine how many wins 114 is. It was a hell of a run, and you realize that a lot of times you win ball games because of the confidence level, and I think that's a big part of it is the emotional approach we've had to games where we've had confidence. I mean, not the kind that aggravates you. It's just the feeling good about yourself type of confidence.
You have to say that it's as good as any I've ever had. I mean, they done things. You know, I said to you before, Michael, there are certain things that as an athlete and as a coach you don't think about. You don't think about being a better team than Babe Ruth and Lou Gehrig. You don't think about being a better team than the DiMaggio teams, or with Rizzuto and DiMaggio and that gang. And then you don't figure you can be better than Maris and Mantle because of all they did. But here they are. They're better. They've won more games than those two teams.
I'll tell you what, though, they've won 114 games. George seems pretty happy, but starting on Tuesday, it's a whole nother season for this team as they begin the best-of-5 division series against the Texas Rangers. Todd Stottlemyre goes for the Rangers, and David Wells for the Yankees, and those 114 wins, they all get wiped away. Now the Yankees just need 11 more. Now back to the Fox Network Center.
All right, Michael, thank you very much, and of course we're going to be checking in with all of our reporters a little bit later in the show, and it's kind of amazing with the great season that the Yankees had. You almost have to look for things that individual guys didn't do. Bernie didn't get to 100 RBIs. You know, all the things. You know, they're starting to try to find things that were bad about that team. It's hard to do.
Good timing for Bernie Williams to win the batting title, yes, considering his contract status in life. Time to catch our collective breath, but there is still a whole lot more ahead on this special edition of Baseball 98.
You know, the home run race was captivated and has captivated fans from day one, and we'll chronicle the historic race from opening day to the finale when we come back.
Historic home run number 70. Wow. How many times can you say wow? An incredible, an amazing. That ball out of there. I mean, just nailed it. Steve Sachs, our baseball analyst, rejoins us, and a lot of people think it's a hands-down choice. Mark McGwire's the National League MVP. Unprecedented 70 home runs, but it's not necessarily a given, is it?
I don't believe it is. I mean, you know, I think this is, Stephen Benner, I think this is going to come right down to the last game. We were just talking about this before we came on. I mean, what happens if the Cubs do, in fact, get in the playoffs? Sammy has a monster day tomorrow, hits 3 or 4 home runs, gets 5 hits. I mean, he widens the gap as far as his batting average goes and his RBIs. But still, on the other hand, how do you not give it to Mark McGwire with the things that he's done? Every time Sammy is caught up to him, it's only spurred Mac on a little bit more just to dig a little deeper and come up with some more home runs. He's answered to the pressure every time. I really don't know who it is yet. I think I have to sit back and look at this a little more.
Since it's such a unique season, is it between Sosa and McGwire, or does Moises Alou have a chance as well?
Nobody else has a chance. No. It's either Sosa or McGwire. If Sosa gets into the playoffs, you lean towards Sosa because of that. You know, that's why I've always thought that there should be 2 awards. A Player of the Year for the guy that flat out has the best year regardless of what team he plays on, and the MVP for the guy that has a great year and helps his team do something. But if the Cubs do not make the playoffs, as you said, Steve, the numbers are really close now. And the question, I think the question you have to ask is, you know, how do you not win the MVP if you hit 70 home runs? I mean, that would be really tough not to give it to him then.
So, Steve, your vote is for McGwire, and Saxy, your vote is for Sosa. Is that clear?
My vote is if the Cubbies don't get in the playoffs, I'm going with McGwire. If the Cubbies do get in the playoffs and Sammy has a monster day, maybe have to go with Sammy. I think it's going to come down till tomorrow.
All right.
I'm with you. Me and you don't always agree on things, but I'm with you here. That's right. All right, give me some.
All right, Sexy, you got your Fox scope ready to bust out because you want to scope out even more of these two sluggers.
Yeah, that's right. We're going to be scoping that down very good, and it's something to behold. I mean, these two guys are just a little bit different when it comes down to their approaches at the plate. I mean, you can check out and see where Mac is. He's way close to the plate. I mean, Mac's practically right on top of it. He's looking to jack that ball, while Sammy, on the other half, is way back, and he's looking to go to right field predominantly. Now, take a look at Mac right here. He's got the ball out over the plate, but still, he's got coverage. He's going to yank that ball. Let's check out the things that have to be there. The head and the power V, great extension. Look at the hips. He's got great torque in his swing, and the weight distribution right here. He drives off of that back foot. Notice that front leg is not all the way stiff. It's a little bit bent. That's because Mac's got that great upper body strength and doesn't necessarily have to hit off of that stiff front side. Now, Sammy, on the other hand, is off the plate. He likes to go to right field mostly, a la Roberto Clemente. Check that right foot. You see it pointing towards right field? That means he's going that way. He's got great extension. The head's good, of course. Sammy, we've always talked about what great hip work he's got right there. But look at that front left leg. It is absolutely stiff as a board. He needs to hit off a front stiff side. He's not as big and strong as Mac, so he's got to generate a lot of power with that lower half of the body. And, of course, he's got the great kisses for Mom right there. And these two have complemented each other all year long. And as we said time and time again, I don't know if we're ever going to see anything like this in our lifetimes. If Hollywood went out and wrote a script like this, nobody would believe it, because this is something that is just had to be held, and you had to see it firsthand. If it's 100 years from now and people are talking about it, you're going to say, wait a minute, I think you're skewing this a little bit. I don't know if this happened just the way you're saying it. This has been phenomenal all year.
Unbelievable. Not just the home run race, but everything in baseball this year. Steve, thanks a lot.
You bet, guys.
All right, Sexy. But there's no doubt about it, this summer of '98 will forever be linked with the long ball. The two heroes who propelled the national pastime back into the waiting arms of a disillusioned baseball public took very different paths on their way to history.
Take a deep breath. Here it is.
What?
Can it be done?
Yeah, I can. Yeah, I can. Yeah, I can.
Mark McGwire gave birth to his magical season on opening day.
McGwire shoots one into left field. Track wall gone.
Mac belted 4 homers in the first 4 games of the season, and the assault on the record, answered about since January, began. McGwire and Ken Griffey ripped through April, each ending the month with 11 round trippers. After only 1 month, the hype intensified, and Mac showed the first signs of feeling the heat.
You know what? This is way early in the season. There's nothing to talk about. You know what we talk about the game, period.
As May rolled on, McGwire battled the Rockies' Vinny Castilla for the home run lead, and he battled the media over the sport's most recent phenomenon, watching his batting practice. Thousands of fans turned out early to see him take his cuts, and even some opposing players would come out of the clubhouse to watch.
That's amazing, man. I mean, you don't even swing hard, man. I mean, the balls go 600 feet.
I've never seen people run to the upper deck with gloves on.
Up into the night, into the upper deck. Are you kidding me?
His tape measure shots only added to the mystique. Not only was Big Mac hitting home runs more often than anybody else, but he was hitting them higher and farther. A hat trick against the Phillies on May 19 put him on pace for 78. McGwire had become an event all his own. Even his son Matthew was becoming famous. It was around this time that the intense media scrutiny began to take its toll.
There was no arrangement. It was just like cameras everywhere. It was like when I got into the cage, cameras and everybody were standing on the cage, and I felt like I was a caged animal.
While Mac was grabbing headlines, Sammy Sosa was tied for 14th in the majors in the home run category. But that would change in record-setting fashion.
3-2.
Sosa's June propelled him into the chase. And by the All-Star break, it was a three-way race. Mac with 37, Griff with 35, and Sammy with 33. After the break, Griff quietly checked out of the race, hitting just 2 long balls in the second half of the month. Sosa finished strong in July and began August only 3 homers behind Mac. Sammy caught McGwire on August 10th with 2 home runs against the Giants. Unlike Big Mac, Sosa seemed to be having a ball with this race and the hype surrounding it, deflecting the attention onto his competitor.
I still believe that McGwire is the man. How are you going to say that? No matter what happened, he's still my idol. He's the man.
Meanwhile, McGwire wasn't feeling too festive. The pressure was taking its toll, not only between the lines where he was getting walked more than once a game, but in the locker room as well.
Why is everybody so worried about him? There's more important things being worried about Mark McGwire hitting a home run, please.
Mac was slumping, and the baseball world slumped as well, contemplating the possibility of nobody breaking the record. But the race would change on August 18th. That's when McGwire and Sosa, tied at 47 homers apiece, would play against one another in a home run summit at Wrigley Field. That is part 1 of the Slammin' Sammy and Big Mac story, and we'll pick things up with part 2 of this home run race just a little bit later in this show.
And baseball is also the focus of this week's edition of Going Deep with host Joe Buck. This week's Going Deep's focuses on the Latin American baseball players. It all happens Sunday at 9 p.m. only on Fox Sports Net.
That's a K for Rabu. Strike 3. Get him in. Hang another K. Strike 3. Another Hidek K. He's out of there. Another K. Easy K. He's the king of the K tonight.
I don't want to be the K anymore.
It began as the product of meticulous Japanese design, but it was sent to Europe for finishing school. It was tested on Austria's Alpine roads, refined on Germany's autobahns, and chased on England's racetracks. Now the car that's proven itself in Europe is crossing the pond. Introducing the all-new Infiniti G20. Born in Japan, educated in Europe, now available in America.
Damage, the first digital camera with a move and zoom lens. A 3-foot cable shoots over the crowd's head, behind your back. Shoot up a storm, then download only the best into your PC. Yes, Damage, the digital camera with a fast break detachable lens, only from the mind of an ultra.
Football fans, see some of the tri-state area's outstanding teams and players on the high school football game of the week. Fairlawn takes on Chris Sims and Ramapo next Sunday on MSG.
October fires up a great month of fall sports action on MSG Network, like New York Rangers hockey.
Catch to this special edition of Fox Sports News, Baseball 98, one for the record books.
Of course, also going on this final day of the baseball season, that wild card race in the National League. The Mets, done, gone, out. But how about the Cubs? Well, Sammy Sosa in Houston with the pop fly. He is 2 for 5 on this day in the Astrodome. No home runs. And the Cubs, who began the day tied with the Giants for the wild card, are tied with the Astros right now as they continue to play overtime baseball in the Lone Star State. As for the Giants, they are wrapping up the season in the Rocky Mountains, and they too are tied. This in the 9th inning at Coors Field in Denver. Don't forget now, Giants and Cubs finish this Sunday tied. They'll have a 1-game playoff tomorrow in Chicago.
That's unbelievable. Now, it's been an incredible year in baseball, and I've been there every step of the way, bringing you the game's biggest stories, not only on Fox Sports Net's Baseball Thursday, but also on my show, Rewind. One of the great moments witnessed this season came from the bat of Barry Bonds. The San Francisco slugger backed up his own assessment of being the best player of the 90s by rewriting history. Bonds became baseball's first ever player to hit 400 home runs and steal 400 bases with this home run August 23rd against Florida. That feat separated Bonds from his father, Bobby, his godfather, Willie Mays, and the Hawk, Andre Dawson, as baseball's only 300 members. Earlier this season, I talked to Barry about his place in history.
Barry, talk to me about what it's like to be the best at what you do, because I certainly don't know, and most of us don't know what that's like.
I don't know, a little luck, I guess. You know, you're given a gift from God. I mean, you can't explain it. I don't think Muhammad Ali could explain why he was the greatest boxer of all times. I don't think, you know, Evander Holyfield right now in his day and era can explain why he's doing the thing he does, why Tony Gwynn does what he does, why Pete Rose did what he did, Joe DiMaggio, et cetera, so on. The gift is given to a small amount of people during the course of, you know, each era. And, you know, like Willie will always have that gift of knowledge. He'll always know, but he just can't do it anymore. And there'll be a time where I still have that gift, but I can't do it anymore.
I'm going to ask you something that's hard to ask. It might be tough to answer. You're probably one of the most engaging guys to talk to when you can sit down and talk to someone. You give honest answers. You'll tell it like it is. Why is it that you have a public image of a guy who's sometimes very miserable, sometimes hard to deal with, doesn't want to speak to people? Why does that come out in you?
Because I don't get questions like this, Steve, all the time. I get, what do you think the Giants are going to do? Do you think you're going to win the World Series? Oh, no, it's February. I don't know. I hope so. I don't know why. I think it's both our faults.
Who's the greatest baseball player of your era?
Of mine?
Could be number 400.
Besides me? No one.
Why can't we get answers like that from other people? Why with all the confidence, and you'll get criticized for it from some people, say, oh, you know, he has a big...
Read it. It's in black and white. I'm not lying.
Absolutely.
I'm not going to hide behind it anymore. I just told myself I'm not going to hide behind it anymore. I'm not going to say that, well, I don't know, I'm the best left fielder. I'm not going to sit there and do that anymore. There's going to be a time where I'm not going to be the best anymore, and it could be this year, it could be the year next year or whatever, but on a consistent basis, in black and white on paper, I have been.
And you know he can back it up. Now that 400 is out of the way, the next question is 500 within reach? Bonds stands right now at 411 home runs, 444 steals. He said that the home runs will be the hardest obstacle in reaching that mark.
Yeah, but these days, anything is possible, like 70 home runs. Right now, we want to take you back live to St. Louis, where once again, we're joined by our own Sam Marciano. Sam.
Well, Van Earl, you know, I think the turning point in this home run race occurred Friday night at number 66 when they posted that Sammy Sosa had number 66, because less than an hour later, that's when McGwire went on a tear. He hit 5 home runs in his final 10 at-bats to reach number 70. And a couple weeks ago, he was asked what number would be good, and he said, oh, 70 sounds good. That's a nice round number. But I think now this is when the magnitude of what he's done is starting to sink in.
Obviously, it's a huge number. I think the magnitude of this will probably not be sink in or talked about or understood for a while. I mean, it's just, it's unheard of for somebody to hit 70 home runs.
One person who must be happy about this, with the home run title all but locked up, is Tracy Stallard. He's the one who gave up the record-breaking home run to Roger Maris, and now he will be replaced in the trivia questions by Carl Pavano. Now let's go back to the Fox Network Center.
Sam Marciano, thanks once again for that live report from Busch Stadium, the site today of 70 scintillating, or number 70, I should say. Yeah. Wow, it's
mind-boggling. That's why you can't say it.
A whole lot more still to come, including a look at the incredible season for the New York Yankees, so stick and stay to this Baseball 98 special. Just taking place in the Astrodome. Game tied in Houston between the Cubs and Stros until Richard Hidalgo with a sac fly deep enough to score Carl Everett with the game-winning run in the bottom of the 11th to spoil the Cubs. Final day of the season. Would it be their final day of the season? Well, we'll just have to wait and see what happens in Denver, Colorado, because the Cubs lose on this Sunday in overtime to Houston. Rod Beck giving up that sac fly to Richard Hidalgo. Would it knock out the Cubs from the wild card? Right now, we take you to Denver, where Dusty Baker was hoping his club could get it done. But in the bottom of the ninth, Nuffy Perez for the home team Rockies. Yeah, over the wall in right field, presenting a gift to the Chicago Cubs and spoiling the party for Dusty Baker and the Giants. The Rockies, the Astros, they beat the Giants and the Cubs, and it forces a one-game playoff for that fourth and final postseason invitation to the National League playoff party. It'll take place tomorrow night at Wrigley Field, 8 Eastern, 5 Pacific. Giants and Cubs in a one-game showdown.
Unbelievable. I mean, you do a live show here based on the greatest season that we're having, and it just keeps getting better as we do the show. Right now, we're going to go back to New York, talk to Michael Kay, who's with Joe Torre, the manager of the Yankees.
Thanks a lot, Steve Lyons. I am here with Joe Torre. And Joe, 114 wins. You win today 8-3. Is it kind of mind-boggling to you, 114 wins?
It really is. I remember when we won our first game after losing the first 3. I had my coaches and I signed the lineup card and I sent it to our new general manager, Brian Cashman, and I put on there, this is the first of many, not realizing how many it was going to be.
When you look at 114, most managers plan in the winter, gee, we could win 95 or 100. 114 is almost like, it's almost surreal.
Well, you know, even if you say to yourself, you predict, I think we can win 100 games. I mean, that's really reaching because you need some breaks. We went through some streaks this year, and we stayed on a streak pretty much the whole season. And what we've done here the last couple of weeks is, I feel good about it because I feel we're ready to go in the postseason. But to win this many games, even in an expansion year, you have to have a lot of breaks. But the main thing is you have to have a good pitching.
All right, the 114 wins, does that put more pressure on you, Joe, as you go into the postseason, or is pressure just inherent in this job anyway?
I think it's pressure when you get to best-of-5 series. I like the 2-2 format, 2-2-1 format better than the 2-3. But again, it's going to come down to being pressurized here on Tuesday and Wednesday to win. And the thing is, I think if the 114 does anything, it does something for us, because I think it gives us the confidence to know that we're capable of winning.
All right, in this game today, 8-3, you get a grand slam from Shane Spencer, 3 now in 9 days. Have you found a diamond in the rough in this kid, Joe?
Well, it took me 17 years to hit 3 grand slams, and he's done this thing in a week or so. He's made the club, obviously, and who knows? I don't know how I'm going to use him. I don't know who the left fielder is. I don't know who the DH is on Tuesday night. But I feel pretty good that if you have to send him up there to hit, probably against a left-hand pitcher, that you're going to get your money's worth.
All right, Steve Lyons, I think, has a question, Joe.
Joe, Texas Rangers playing very good baseball right now. You're going to meet up with those guys in the first round. What do you expect out of that series?
Steve wants to know what do you expect out of the Texas Rangers, who finished up pretty strong.
Well, they beat the Angels 5 games. They really had to be playing at the top of their game to do that, because that's a very aggressive ball club. But they found starting pitching that they struggled with all year, and that's what it's going to come down to here. So the Texas, if we can't pitch, they're going to beat our brains in because of the type of offense they have. So it's really going to come down to Stottlemyre against Wells, and hopefully the Boomer is what the Boomer has been all year.
All right, final thing for me, Joe. I'm wondering, after 114 wins, I would feel satisfied, but still, it's almost like nothing's happened yet.
No, Mr. Steinbrenner was in my office, and there's no such thing as satisfied, even at 114. We need to win 11 more games, and you know, we'll take it hopefully one step at a time.
Congratulations on a great season.
Thanks, Michael.
That's Joe Torre, back to the Fox Network Center.
Hey, Michael, how many games did they win?
114.
You got it. And I don't think he cares anymore. It's wiped clean now because they're getting ready to go here. All right, we got to update the rest of the American League on the closing day action around the league, including a great pitching performance in Toronto. Let's go to the scores. Roy Halladay for the Toronto Blue Jays on the last day of the season throws a one-hitter. He gave up a pinch hit home run with 2 outs in the 9th to Bobby Higginson. Hey, maybe this guy will make the team next year. Boston and Baltimore. Boston finishes off strong. They beat the O's. Mo Vaughn went 2 for 4, but he does not win the batting title.
In Kansas City, the White Sox continue with their strong finish to the strong second half. And we got a final from the Plastic Palace as Matt Lawton goes 2 for 3 for the victorious Twins.
As you would say, stick and stay. We'll be right back.
folks, and we want to welcome those of you who are just joining us now on Fox Sports Southwest after you watched that dramatic ending to the Astro victory over the Cubs in overtime. Right now, we direct our attention to not only the playoffs, but after the playoffs, the winner, the free agent signing, and talk about a huge A-list of names that'll be available. Wow. Will Mike Piazza return to Southern California after his nomadic season? Will Mo Vaughn stick and stay in Boston and use the open market just to jack up the price? Bernie Williams picked a good time to win his first ever batting title. Will there be enough money in the small market of San Diego to keep Brownie? And hard to imagine Houston not finding the cash to keep their new asteroid after the numbers he put up for the Central Division champions.
And as for the New York Mets, what a disappointing end to a very promising season, going on to that National League wild card chase. They go on to lose 5 straight games at the end of the season. One of the questions that they may have to answer is whether or not they will be able to keep Mike Piazza in a Met uniform for next season.
We had a real good opportunity to make it to the playoffs, with these last 5 games, and we just weren't able to get the job done. So I think, everybody's real disappointed in the way the last few games went.
I'm disappointed, and all the guys are disappointed. We'll do it again next year.
Just seemed like every day, the harder we try to get something done, we come up a little short, and that's why we're in the position that we're in right now.
So the Mets are done, but the Cubs are not, despite their loss today inside the Astrodome. Right now, we want to go live to Houston for more on this incredible day for the Cubs. Here's Jeannie Zelasco.
Van Earl, incredible would be one way to describe it. Definitely, the Cubs thought they had this thing top of the 8th inning. The Astros rally back. We go to extra innings, and it's so interesting because as the Cubs lost this game, the Rockies won their game at Coors Field. So I don't even know if the Cubs players knew as they left the field that, hey, they were still alive in this thing. Maybe not the way Jim Riggleman wanted to get to the postseason, going to that playoff game, but he has to be pleased here today, even with the loss, because he didn't have to go deep into his bullpen, and we know the Cubs bullpen has been suspect this season. Terry Mulholland pitched a great game for the Cubs. Rod Beck coming in, not getting the save, not able to get the win for that matter, but he did finish up the game. So again, they did not have to go deep into that bullpen, and that has to be good news for the Cubs. As for the playoff game, the one-game playoff taking place at Wrigley Field tomorrow, there was talk that it would be Kevin Tapani, but it is still very much up in the air. Nothing official yet. As soon as we know, we will let you know. It is interesting, though, that so many people thought the Houston Astros would just lay down this weekend. They had already shored up home field advantage. We knew they were going to be in the postseason. But see, Larry Dierker said there was a score to be settled here. They remember 1995 when the Cubs and the Astros beat each other up in a 4-game series, and it was the Colorado Rockies that ended up winning the wild card. So it is safe to say Larry Dierker has settled his score. We will have so much more from the Astrodome, so stay right where you are. Now let's send it back to the Fox Network Center.
All right, Jeannie, we'll let you go so you can get some of that post-game reaction and maybe more information on tomorrow's starting pitcher.
You got it.
Now here's the rest of this final day of the baseball season from the National League. The Reds finished with the win over the Pirates. The story from Busch Stadium, of course, 2 more home runs for McGwire, 5 in his final 10 at-bats, as Sam Marciano reported. Here in Los Angeles, they're still playing baseball, and right now the Dodgers have the slim lead over the Brewers. And in the desert, a night affair between the National League Western champion Padres and the Snakes. Back in a bit.
Baseball 98, a special edition of Fox Sports News. Now your hosts, Earl Wright and Steve Lyon.
Welcome back to the Fox Network Center. Earl Wright, Steve Lyons with you here for Baseball 98, one for the record books. And this show, as we do it, just keeps getting, they can't write the book yet, man. It's not over with.
Boy, that's for sure. Right now, Sammy Sosa is conducting his post-game press conference in Houston, and we take you there live.
Sammy, the stats count tomorrow in tomorrow's game. So if you hit 4 home runs tomorrow, then you tie with McGwire again. Does Mark McGwire have anything to worry about?
I had to say that Mark, it's been unbelievable all year long. Myself, I've been great. What been happening to me, I think that I'm real satisfied, especially for the support that all Latin America gave it to me. And what happened tomorrow, that's great. Mark deserved to go out there and hit 70. That was great. Yesterday, I say if he can hit 2 more today, it would be 7, and he did for me. Thank you, and hey, he is the man. Sammy, ¿nos puede decir eso en español? ¿Puedes pegar 4 mañana? No sé, no creo que, imagínate, no sé lo que va a pasar mañana. Creo que por lo menos para mí es mejor ir allí, tratar de jugar mi juego como lo he estado jugando y tratar de hacer contacto y a ver lo que pasa. It is big. I'll tell you something, that tomorrow is going to be unbelievable, I have to say, and especially if we win tomorrow, it's going to be something that we're going to really enjoy it. And we've been working so hard. We went to the situation that our last game we had to say we tie and we got to play another game. That's unbelievable for baseball. And we prepare ourselves tomorrow. Tonight, go home, relax, and come back tomorrow ready to go again. Play good.
Sammy, do your kids realize what goal and what a record you set this year, even though McGwire has 70? Are they too young? Do they know what you've accomplished?
Well, one thing that I have to say, to get to McGwire, they got to get to me first. So that's something nice. I had everything in video. Probably going to show to my kid when they a little bit more bigger. Right now, they don't understand nothing, but pretty much, you know, when I have a lot of time, I spend time with my kid to let them know that I'm there all the time and they love me.
Sammy, ¿eres tú el jugador más valioso de la Liga Nacional?
No sé, papá.
Sammy Sosa and his post-game press conference live from the Astrodome in Houston, and what an emotional day for the Cubs. They think they're probably out of the playoffs, and then just moments later, the Rockies come through and beat the Giants to force that one-game playoff tomorrow. And for Sammy, 4 home runs. You think he can match 70?
Well, you know, in the history of the game, 12 people have hit 4 home runs in one game. Hard-hitting Mark Whitten was the last to do it. So we've seen Sammy go deep a few times in one game, so it certainly is possible.
Anything is.
But, you know, pitching also was a big part of the '98 baseball season, and Roger Clemens has to be one of the best in the business. He's won 4 Cy Youngs, and it looks like he's going to add a 5th this year. I was in center field when he struck out 20 batters for the first time, and then 10 years later, he did it again. But you'll be surprised at what he considers to be his biggest accomplishment.
I would say just that I feel very fortunate that I've been able to perform at this high level for this long, to be a power pitcher, and my body just continues to respond and do what I ask it to do, whether it be the first pitch of the game where I can reach back and get a ball 96, 97, or the 130th pitch I can reach back and still go get it. I would say probably that's my most proud moment. I mean, all the achievements and the constant grind every 4th or 5th day is just as fun as it gets. I mean, you know, I try and stay as upbeat as I can, even though when you're having down moments, and I tell the guys the same thing. You know, smile. I mean, we need to smile a little bit, have a little fun.
You had a chance at a no-hitter. You went into the 7th where they didn't get it. Haven't got one yet. And you say it's because you throw too many strikes, and I agree. I think you're around the plate. You don't flip enough guys. If you were a little more wild, you might have a better chance.
Well, you're wrong about that. I mean, my best pitch is I take one from Big D. Drysdale taught me that. Just a little thing he said after I did a radio interview with him. He shut the radio off and said, you know, a kid, I like the way you pitch inside. And he said, just remember one thing. He said, my most important pitch, you know what my most important pitch of the game was? I said, no, D, what? He said it was my second knockdown pitch, because that way the hitter knew the first one wasn't a mistake.
Well, I got to tell you, I'm a big supporter of Roger Clemens, and it's hard not to be. I played with the guy. Nobody works harder than he does. He's a gamer in the true sense of the word, and if I had to win one game, he's the guy I'd pick to throw out there on the mound.
Right now, Steve Saxry joins us to talk more about Clemens and other Cy Young candidates in the American League. Is Clemens the one to beat?
Yes, he definitely is. He is the one to beat. Now, Stevie and I are going to get into it a little bit here. No, Roger Clemens, let's say first and foremost, this guy is a wonderful pitcher, no doubt about it. As Steve said, he's a hard worker. As a matter of fact, my brother played with the Red Sox, and he told me all about Roger Clemens. The only times I've known him is from 60 feet 6 inches away, and I can tell you that this man he tries to intimidate people. That's his method of going out there and getting things done, a la Bob Gibson, maybe plus about 5. The thing is about Roger Clemens is he'll throw up and in on you. He'll hit you in the back. He doesn't care. When a guy throws 100 miles an hour, it can be intimidating knowing that you can get a broken bone to the face or to the hand, as we saw earlier in the year that Derek Jeter experienced. So that's the only thing I'm concerned about when you got a guy like Roger Clemens. I think that he should not be so intimidating and throw up there around the head, but be more around the strike zone, because everybody knows that he has phenomenal control. He can hit that outside or inside whenever he wants it.
He does. When he's throwing it's like he said on the tape right there. When he throws it up and in, he means it. He's got great control. You'll know when he's throwing the ball where you might not want to see it. But you know what? I did a little research, and Steve, You hit 333 off of Clemens, so no big deal for you.
I didn't see the ball. I guessed where it was. It shows it so hard. You know, I got to add one more thing, you guys, here on the NL MVP. Why not have co-MVPs? I mean, back in 1979, we saw that Willie Stargell and Keith Hernandez won co-MVPs, and certainly not to discount any of the things that these two great men have done, but still, here we have a situation that is completely different. Maybe not that we'll see anything like this in our lifetimes. I mean, these two guys broke Roger Maris's home run record that stood for nearly 40 years. I think this is an instance where we certainly got to look at the fact that maybe we should definitely recognize these two men as co-MVPs this year.
Come on, you know the guys that are voting for the MVP? They're not smart enough to do that. You know
maybe
that.
if they watch Fox Sports News, they will be.
That's right.
Ah, okay. Setting the tone right there. Thank you, Saxy.
You bet.
All right, Baseball 98, one for the record books, continues to roll on around here, so stick and stay.
Edition of Fox Sports News, Baseball 98, one for the record books.
The date, Sunday, September 20th. While Mark McGwire was having his problems with the umpires in Milwaukee, Cal Ripken Jr. was doing the unthinkable in Baltimore. After 2,632 consecutive games, baseball's Iron Man decided it was time for a day off.
I firmly believe it was time to change the subject. Restore the focus back to where it should be, and that on the team.
Ripken's streak covered 16 years. At one point, he played in an amazing 8,243 consecutive innings. And he will forever be remembered for the night that he broke Lou Gehrig's magical mark of 2130 back in September of 1995. In the end, Cal ended the streak with the same class and dignity that he displayed while amassing such an incredible record.
Well, after Ripken finally took a seat, one could only wonder what next in this incredible summer.
Oh, incredible because of Cal and the Yankees in a truly wild, wild card race. But this baseball season has been incredible and awesome and amazing because of two men who were more than just good. They were very, very good.
Baseball been very, very good to me.
God bless America, right?
What a country.
Yeah.
Popped up right field near the line. He puts it away, and David Wells has pitched a perfect game. Closing time, every beginning.
That ball is drilled to deep right, and that could be number 400. It is. He's done it.
That curveball hard to over to second. They go to second for one, back to first to throw the plate. Got it to the plate.
To the hole. Ordonez, can he get him? Yes, he did.
That's overturn a Ward's head, and he makes a circus catch and disappears.
McGwire and Sammy Sosa.
Walked him, going back, looking up. He can't get it. He did. He did.
Vizquel with the bouncing ball towards the hole. Jeter on the backhand. The throw to first is in time.
The throw through. Safe. For the home run, a couple of out. Oh, look out. Oh, right back at Messina.
Oh, a rocket off of Wagner. Oh, boy. Oh, boy.
Well, I
Welcome back to Baseball 98, and guess what? The focus of this week's edition of Going Deep with host Joe Buck is also on baseball this week. Going Deep focuses on Latin American baseball players. It all happens Sunday at 9 p.m. only on Fox Sports Net.
Right now, we want to continue our coverage of today's last day of this baseball season. Almost. Jeannie Zelasco is in Houston following the Cubs as they prepare for their one-game playoff. But first, we check in with Sam Marciano in St. Louis, who has more on McGwire's final day.
Well, you know, I have to think back to when I first started covering Mark McGwire. He was at 55 home runs. He hit 4 home runs in 2 days, and it felt like the race was on. It was so incredibly exciting. And then the emotion that he displayed when he broke Roger Maris's record, the respect that he showed to the Maris family was truly something special to see, and really get to see what down-to-earth kind of person Mark McGwire is. That was another thing that was really special. And then, of course, to end it like this, absolutely breathtaking. Now let's go to Jeannie Zelasco.
Thanks, Sam. Of course, don't forget the home run derby is not over. Oh, no. Sammy Sosa swings again. There is a one-game playoff to speak of as the Giants lost today and the Chicago Cubs lost today at the Astrodome. The guys get to play one more game, and, of course, those stats count towards the regular season. Of course, Sammy would really have to go off. We're looking for, what, 4 or 5 home runs in the game for him to set his own mark. Not sure if that will happen. Sammy doesn't care, though. He is just happy that they live to see another day.
I was watching Colorado, and my boy Nerfy helped me out right there. Tomorrow is going to be unbelievable, I have to say, and especially if we win tomorrow, it's going to be something that we're going to really enjoy it. And we've been working so hard. We went to the situation that our last game we had to say we tie and we got to play another game. That's unbelievable. Mark, congratulations for number 70. You are the man.
Obviously, Sammy Sosa very happy to be seeing another day. Maybe not exactly the way they wanted to go into the postseason or try to get into the postseason, but nonetheless, Cubs Steve Traxel will get the start facing the Giants tomorrow afternoon at Wrigley Field, and we will be there. Now let's go back to Van Earl at the Fox Network Center.
All right, Jeannie, pack your bags one more time and jump on that jet plane. We'll look forward to your reports tomorrow from Chicago.
Thanks, Van Earl.
Right now, we focus again on the home run chase. And when we left off, a surly Mark McGwire and a cheerful Sammy Sosa were tied with 48 home runs apiece. On August 18, the two sluggers prepared to meet face-to-face for a pair of games at Wrigley. After an uneventful first game, the final act in the great home run chase would begin on a sunny August 19th on Chicago's north side. Wrigley Field could barely contain the intense media frenzy as Mac and Sammy prepared for their Wednesday matinee. Sosa was first with a blast to left in the 5th.
Deep toward left. Back goes Mabry. At the track. At the wall. He's got it. Number 48.
It was the first time all season that the Dominican led the majors. And surprisingly, second place seemed to mellow McGwire. In the bottom of the 7th, Sosa walked. And when he got to first, the sluggers started talking, fooling around almost. The nation watched as the two rivals for baseball's ultimate prize were having fun. Mac's next at bat came in the top of the 8th, exactly 57 minutes after he lost the home run lead.
Swung on, belted deep toward left. No doubt about that, baby.
He followed that with another in the 10th. Big Mac was back in the lead and having a good time again. The following day, number 50 flew out of shade.
Number 50.
McGwire pumped his fist into the air, a rare display of emotion on the base paths. Number 51 came on the same day, and Big Mac was a new man.
I'd have to say that I do have a shot.
But as soon as Mac began enjoying himself, another problem surfaced. This time it had nothing to do with his on-the-field performance. On top of his locker, the same locker where he had fielded countless questions, a reporter discovered a bottle of androstenedione, a legal food supplement, believed by some to act as an anabolic steroid.
Well, I don't worry about it because it's legal stuff, sold over the counter. Anybody can go in there and buy it. There's absolutely nothing wrong with it.
As the Andro scare faded into yesterday's headlines, Mac was closing in on Maris, and Sammy was right behind.
Baseball been very, very good to me.
The mutual support seemed to help both men.
Into left field. They can't say it anymore. 60.
2 days later, Sammy and the Cubs were in St. Louis for another two-game set.
Pitch. Swung on, belted. There it goes. There it's gone. He did it. McGwire hits number 61.
And the very next day with Sammy looking on.
Down the left field line. Is it enough? Gone!
Only 341 feet, but truly a shot that was heard round the world. McGwire had reached unimaginable heights, and there was Sammy to share the moment with him.
Next thing you know, I hit a ball that all of a sudden disappeared on me, and I tell you what, it's I totally believe in fate, and I believe that's what happened this week, and thank the man upstairs.
But the race wasn't over. Sosa was playing for a postseason bid, and in the midst of that wild card run, Sammy caught McGwire at 62.
Move over, Big Mac. You got company.
But the rest of the world didn't stop on this day. The game didn't even stop. Whispers of racism were overheard. But when Big Mac answered with a homer the very next day, the race became fun once again. Commissioner Bud Selig's hometown of Milwaukee found itself in the spotlight during the final stretch of the season. It was game 157 for McGwire. Home run number 65 was overshadowed by what looked like number 66, a homer that was taken away by umpire Bob Davidson for fan interference. 3 days later, same city, Sammy's 64th and 65th were overshadowed by a soon-to-be infamous Brant Brown era with 2 outs in the 9th inning that cost the Cubs a crucial game. Sosa took the lead Friday night.
That could be upper deck.
But Sammy's second stay on top was shorter than his first, because just 45 minutes after Sammy smacked number 66, Mac got his own kicks.
There it goes!
With 2 games left, Sosa and McGwire were once again tied. But Big Mac had big plans for the final Saturday of the season.
McGwire, who hits this one to deep left field, and this is number 67.
He added number 68 in the same game.
There is number 68.
And number 69 gave McGwire 4 in his final 4 games, duplicating the 4 that he hit in the first 4 games of this season. But Big Mac could not rest, and the stage was set for his final at-bat of the season.
2 out. Into left field! Number 70! How much more can you give us, Big Mac?
4 home runs in his final 2 games. Cap what will go down as the most remarkable individual season in baseball history.